Hi, I'm Fred Dex, Master Sommelier, and this is That Beverage Show. We're here in the heart of Raleigh, North Carolina at Standard Foods and Grocery. This is truly one of the great farm-to-table restaurants in the city. We're gonna meet with Steve the Butcher today and talk about some of the special things they're doing with the meat program, and we're gonna pair some great wines with some of these great cuts of meat. Hope you're hungry, hope you're thirsty. Come on in. Hey Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Fred?
Awesome. What's going on in Meatland?
Hanging out, breaking down animals, being sustainable, you know, things like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us here at Standard Foods and at the awesome butcher counter that you are in charge of. And you're not just the butcher of this grocery store in this meat case, but you also do all the butchering for the restaurant Standard Foods. You have sustainable, whole animal butchering going on here from North Carolina. And you're also making stocks, you're making charcuteries, you're getting in not just beef, you're getting in lamb, you're getting in pork, you're getting in chicken. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day operation here and what makes you so special.
Everything we get in, again, like you said, is from North Carolina, pasture-raised, humanely slaughtered, all raised using sustainable agriculture. Everything is within an hour and a half of Raleigh.
Wow.
We have a plethora of farms right here. It doesn't make sense to not be using the meat and keeping the money in our community here in North Carolina.
That's pretty extraordinary for a restaurant to be that sustainable in the meat department.
Yeah, pretty sustainable.
Cool. Well, you have a couple of things picked out for us, a couple of cuts of your favorite cuts of meat.
I do.
And you're going to show us how to prepare them, and then we're going to do the fun part. We're going to do a little food and wine pairing. You ready to do that?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Meet back there.
First, I'm going to cook the short rib. That requires a low, slow braising method. I'm going to sear off my meat, throw veggies in, hit the stock, a little red wine, a little bit of soy for depth. Cook it for about, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours. Get it nice and fork tender. After that,
look at the marbling on this. It's incredible.
Right.
This is going to be definitely a juicy style red wine here, something with a lot of rich flavors, a lot of great textures, supple textures. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty fun to pair some wine. That's wine food.
for sure. So after that, we got the bavette, which is frequently called the butcher's cut.
Yep.
That's the sirloin flap on the back of the cow underneath the round. It's a nice, meaty, I don't know how to say it other than steaky. You know?
Yeah.
It's got a little tooth, you know, but
Yep.
you appreciate cuts for what they are. Everything doesn't need to be a beef tenderloin, and this surely is not. You know?
Yeah, and this is going to require probably a wine with a little more acidity, some more tannin, something
Right.
to cut through that. It's not quite as, supple, and
Right.
it doesn't quite fall apart. Talk a little bit about the butcher's cut.
Well,
Is that the secret cuts?
Yeah, a lot of times those are the secret cuts that a lot of they joked butchers used to just eat for themselves.
One of your favorite cuts?
It's one of my favorite cuts. It makes a great steak frite. So
Awesome.
after that, we got the classic American New York strip, which can't be beat. This hung 90 days at
Wow.
the slaughterhouse.
90 days. It's
With-
intense.
Exactly.
Intense
yeah.
flavor, deep flavor. So you're going to need a wine here that's, got some depth, some deep flavors, maybe something old world, something with some
Right.
rusticity to match up with those gamey flavors there.
Right. The rosemary is going with it too. That's very, it just screams old world rusticity.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
Some herbs here. We got some thyme. We got some rosemary.
Right.
What are we gonna do first here? Tell us. Show us the magic, man.
I want to sear off this short rib first.
Tell us a little bit about the process here, the braising, and what's it gonna do to the meat.
So braising is a 2-method cooking process. We sear it, that's where you get that nice caramelization which creates flavor, and then we add liquid and basically cook it down over hours and hours.
And tell us a little bit about the flavors here. You have some mirepoix with carrots, onion, celery.
Well, all of those nice aromatics, plus I had some local fennel we threw in there, the sage, nice herbbiness. I added a little bit of tamari.
That's a little untraditional, right?
Helps give you a little umami in there, a little umami boost,
Awesome.
I can go ahead and add a little bit of stock, and we'll go ahead and put this down low. Typically, as a chef, when you braise something, you braise it the day before, and then you let it rest in the liquid, and it sucks up more liquid, and then you reheat it the next day.
And that's a great point. So this is a day before thing. This gets better second day.
Right. But, first day is still pretty darn good. It's just second day is maximum.
Maximum flavor.
Maximum flavor.
And there are some wines that do get better on the second day. Tell us about seasoning steak. I mean, I hear the simpler the better. Salt and pepper do wonders.
For me, I'm a purist. I don't want anything on there but salt and pepper. Again, I want to taste the meat. Some nice tricks though. I always pull my meat out at least an hour before I'm going to sear it. I want it to come to room temp. Otherwise, it's going to shock when it hits the pan.
Huge, huge. Room temp, that's a big deal.
Right, and this is an argument amongst chefs, but I personally am on the side of seasoning at least 10 or 15 minutes before and letting it suck up that salt.
Yeah.
So we'll go with this bavette first.
So you get the pan nice and hot.
Yep, pretty much.
You want to get that char, that caramelization, right?
Yes, sir. Caramelization is the spice of life, I always joke.
And that caramelization, again, is going to play into what wines we pair here, because when you get that caramelization, I'm thinking about some oak here. Right. And when you put a wine into an oak barrel, it gives that flavor that you're going to get from that char. So right. I'm going to be looking at some wines that have a little bit of oak presence, right. But not too much. Right. Char and tannin are like, you know,
friends forever.
Yeah, exactly. So Steve, on a scale of 1 to 10, the butter, the garlic, and the thyme in the pan here.
This goes to 11.
Awesome. So if you're not doing this at home, folks, you need to be doing this at home.
If you're not doing this, you have already lost.
Well, we want to be winners, right?
Exactly. We'll let it rest. A rule of thumb I learned early on in kitchens was just let it rest until it's cool enough that when you touch it with the back of your hand, it doesn't hurt.
And that lets all the flavor lock in together.
Well, if you were thinking about it as a party, all the liquid, everything is going crazy in there right now. It's just, you know, so let it rest up.
It's like a rave
suck
inside
back
the steak,
in.
right?
Exactly, exactly. You cut that now, all the party goers are going to spill out. And those are who you want to eat. So right here we have a pan-seared bavette, butter basted, herbed, and roasted, and made a little bit of pan sauce to go with it.
Wow, it looks incredible. So with this, I thought we're gonna go kind of a little straightforward with the wines here, things that people know and love, things that are accessible and easy to find. So the first wine I picked is a Pinot Noir from Oregon. And the reason I picked this is because you said this is a steaky cut. Yeah. And with meats like this, I'm thinking the acidity and freshness, which is a cornerstone and hallmark of Pinot Noir, is going to work really nicely and cut through this steak. I'm going to play off a little of acidity here. It's a leaner bodied wine. So this has less fat, you said. Yes, so with a leaner wine, less fat, it's going to work really nicely. And the second wine I'm going to choose is a classic Napa Cab style blend. Okay. It's a blend of Merlot, Cabernet, real classic, and this is a real steakhouse style wine. Juicier, richer in texture. So what we're going to try to do here today is figure out which wine reigns supreme with the bavette. You ready to check it out?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, man. The first wine we're pouring, it's a classic Oregon Pinot Noir from Belpont, one of my favorite producers, Willamette Valley. They say Willamette, damn it. And Pinot Noir from Oregon is really incredible. And what we're looking for here with the bavette, again, is that acidity, that freshness. And we're looking for this wine to cut through the steak, refresh your palate for the next bite. There's a little bit of herbaceousness here, more red fruits. Think of cherries and strawberries and cranberries. Ready to do it?
Let's do.
Let's dig in. So first off, we're gonna take a sip of the wine, introduce the wine to our palates, get our mouth kind of warmed up for the food. So take a sip. And really get it into your mouth. You know, don't be shy. Let it coat your mouth just the same way you're coating the steak with the pan. You want to do that same kind of interaction with your palate. And then we're gonna take a little bite. Let's take a sip of the wine and see how it pairs.
I think it really washes that fat away nice.
You know, Pinot Noir is a little deceiving because it's a lighter grape variety. And a lot of times we don't think about Pinot Noir with steak.
Right.
Think of Pinot Noir with duck, with chicken, maybe salmon, you know, kind of those type of little fattier fishes.
Right.
But I like this Pinot here because, again, it wraps around the fat. It's got this beautiful texture. And actually, the meat brings the texture of the Pinot, this real supple, soft, and that's what Pinot's known for, is silky sexiness as a grape variety. And I also think it pops the cherry fruit and the cranberry fruit really nicely.
Yeah.
I think this is a really nice pairing in general, but I'd love to see what your thoughts are on the Napa Cab blend, because that is the classic pairing for steak.
Right.
All right, man, the second wine we're gonna do is a Napa Valley style blend with Merlot, Cabernet, Chapelet, one of the amazing producers in Napa Valley. This has more dark fruit, a little bit more tannin, so a little bit more of that drying sensation. Tannin and char really go well. This also has a really good amount of acidity to also cut through. So here's gonna be a different textural situation, a different flavor profile. So let's take a sip of the wine first, introduce the wine to our palates, and then we're gonna take a bite of the steak and we'll see which one wins. Whole different ball game there, right?
It's banging.
Delicious, right?
Yeah.
Dark fruit, juicy fruit. You get a little bit more of that oak. So I'm thinking about the butter when you're doing the butter basting. That's really great with the char, and also this gravy.
Right.
I think this wine has a lot of components that match the cooking methods.
Right.
I was going more for the steak itself with the Pinot.
Right.
So let's take a cut. Delicious, Steve. It's a big bite, big wine. So what do you think?
That's a tough call, man.
Tough call.
They were both excellent. I mean, the classicness of this pairing with this, though, I don't.
Yeah. So you go with the classic pairing here. My thought here is this is like a big bear hug for the steak. This has got all that dark fruit, purple fruit, that Merlot style juiciness. You got the cab, the power of the cab here, and some nice tannin. You got some, you know, a little touch of oak presence, which I think does a really nice job with the char and the gravy that you've created here, and a little bit of that butter basting. I like the Pinot. I'm into the Pinot on this one. I think the Pinot is the wine that kind of dances with this a little more. I think the Pinot and this are more of a ballet dance, and you know, this is more of a bullfight in a way. You know, this kind of wraps around, and I think the Pinot did a really beautiful job of you know, really enhancing the flavor of the steak. The grass-fed concept, you get more kind of herbal and earth tones here, plus the acidity. I just think it was a more elegant. And you know what? We break the rules, right? As a butcher, right, and as a chef, you're breaking the rules. You're trying to introduce people to new cuts of meat. So we're 1 for 1 here. Should we try the New York strip and see which next wines reign supreme?
Yeah, let's do it. So we have a dry-aged New York strip, 100% grass-fed. This one has also been pan-seared and oven-roasted.
So what I'm thinking here with the wines is some wines with some serious complexity, and when you're talking about dry aging, right, you're looking to get some more complexity to the meats. And
exactly.
Tell us a little bit about the flavor profile of this meat for you. What are some of the words you describe this meat as?
Definitely has a little barnyard from the 100% grass-fed, grass-finished.
We love that term in wine, barnyard, right?
Right, and then the 90-day dry age gave it, again, I don't even know how to say it other than a meaty funk. An umami bomb, there you go. So
we're gonna bring the George Clinton Parliament funk to the umami bomb here with a couple great wines. And the first wine we're gonna do is Barbaresco, all right? And Barbaresco is from Italy, it's from Piedmont, known for its truffles, which are also umami and funky white truffles. And this is a great producer, de Fourville. And here we have the grape variety Nebbiolo. This has beautiful acidity, beautiful tannins, and also the funkiness and earthiness to work with this 90-day dry-aged steak. So not necessarily a classic pairing again. We want to break the rules. So we're going to bring the funk to the umami. That smells fantastic. Fresh cherries, flowers, herbs.
Pretty excited.
Little funkiness.
Oh, that's a really nice pairing.
That's rocking. Beautiful pairing. Yeah, I think you know, the dry age factor is what led me to this wine. You know, if this steak wasn't dry aged for 90 days, I might have picked a different set of wines. But because of the 90-day dry aging, Barolo's aged in cask, and Barbaresco's aged in cask for quite a bit, a few years. So it's the same idea. You know, the dry aging is happening in the barrels of the winery. Let's look at the second wine. Like the first round.
Okay.
Classic.
Okay.
Bordeaux. Right, when you think of steak, you think of Cabernet, you think of Merlot, you think of Bordeaux, you think of Napa Cab. So we're gonna go straight to the jugular here and do a really delicious Bordeaux blend. This is a wine that's based with Merlot. So we're gonna check out a wine from Saint-Emilion. This is a Grand Cru, so top level wine from Chateau Haute-Sigaud. And in Bordeaux, there's a river that cuts through the appellation, the region. On the left bank, they grow more Cabernet. On the right bank, they grow more Merlot and Cabernet Franc. I think you're gonna find some funkiness here, but this is gonna be a little bit more voluptuous and juicy. Ready to try?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. Sip, bite, sip. Dex's rule. What do you think?
Love it. That's a great pairing. I mean, just like the first one, you know, that's the super classic, and you can feel that in it.
Yeah.
But this go around, I definitely picked that.
You picked the Nebbiolo,
Yeah,
the Barbaresco.
The Barbaresco.
Yeah, I think, you know, this wine's great. I think they're great partners. They dance together really well. But I think that the Barbaresco put this steak in a different dimension. And I think this wine, the Saint-Emilion, the Bordeaux, is delicious on its own. Delicious with this dish, but you know, this is next level.
They definitely built each other up. You
Yeah.
know, like delicious and delicious, but then with the Barbaresco and the steak together took each other to different heights.
Yeah. So what we're looking for is 1 + 1 = 3.
Right.
Right. So the umami and the funkiness of this brought that extra layer out, and that's, to me, that's a great experience. And when you take something simple, like a beautiful cut of meat, simple steak, you cook it beautifully, you bring it with a great bottle, glass of wine, and they just blow up. Ready for round 3?
Yeah.
We gotta check out that short rib, man. That short rib looks incredible. So, wine-wise, I'm playing off of 2 different kind of characteristics here. I'm gonna play off of, you know, the juiciness and the braise of it, the steak here, and the meltability in your mouth.
Right.
And also, you braise this with some sage and some other some herbs, right?
Sage, thyme, fennel.
Yeah, so
celery.
I'm gonna bring 2 wines to the table here. One is gonna be a Syrah. All right, so Syrah to me is a great grape variety, darker fruits, juicy, but also has some really nice acidity. You know, some freshness to it, which again, playing off of that theme of freshness and kind of leaving your palate, you know, kind of fresh for the next bite, but also some dimensions of spice and herbs, black pepper, a real good note there, olives and smoky spice, which I think might work really well. The second wine I'm going to pair is a Chilean wine, mostly Carmenere with a little bit of Cabernet. So Carmenere is a grape variety that was is a unique grape variety, rediscovered in Chile about 20 years ago, and it's got really beautiful texture, juicy, supple. This is like, you know, this wine explodes in your mouth, but also has all these dimensions of herbs and spices, exotic spices. So, and a little bit of cab to bring the structure. So those are the 2 picks for this short rib. And you ready to roll with the first wine?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Let's do it. So what we have here is a Crozes Hermitage. So Crozes Hermitage is the home of Syrah, also AKA Shiraz. Not a wine that you would think to pair with this. To me, Crozes Hermitage is more of a steak au poivre wine because of the black peppercorn.
Okay.
Sip, bite, sip.
Might do that.
All right.
And that way you can cut that
The
off.
bone, the whole deal. Pretty good pairing, huh?
Yeah, worked really well.
Yeah.
I would drink this bottle either with this or alone at home.
Right? It's tasty on its own, but again, that kind of umami, that next dimension, I think this wine does a beautiful job of adding some layers of spice and flavor to this.
Adding
because Syrah, again, has this beautiful herbaceousness, herbs and a little bit of spice and violets, and I think it brings a dimension to the steak that wasn't there before. So we're looking to enhance the experience here. This is a home run. Short ribs,
Yeah.
bottle of Syrah, rocking.
Yeah, I loved it.
You ready to try number 2?
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
All right. So this is one of my favorite wines from Chile. This is a blend of Carmenere and Cabernet from Apalta Valley, Colchagua in Chile. These are 100-year-old vines. These are like, some of the oldest vines in the world. And this is a juicy wine, texturally really sexy. But what I like about Carmenere and what I like about these wines from Chile is the aromatic components here. And this wine's gonna have some spice to it. It's gonna have some exotic spices, cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, cumin, coriander, some really cool stuff. Think of curry, think of mole, and those flavors. And this wine really embodies some of those beautiful aromas. So you got this really cool synergy between these beautiful aromatics, this beautiful texture. You have dark purple fruits. To me, it's a super complex wine from really old vines. And with the cooking method of what you're doing with a short rib, these older vines give that same kind of flavor profile as you would with something that's been cooked low and slow for a long time. These two wines, to me, Syrah and Carmenere, are two of the most aromatic wines. When we talk about aromatics, we're talking about herbs, thyme, rosemary, basil. We're also talking about, spices like star anise, cumin, ethnic kind of flavors. So whether it's Latin food or Ethiopian food or Indian food, these two wines display some of those flavors. And that's why I put them next to each other. Love to see what you think. Seems like your style.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Definitely
boom.
a big, bold
That's drop the mic.
smash. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to go with wine number 2 on this pairing. I think the juiciness here, the suppleness of the wine, the texture of the wine really matches perfectly with the short rib. I think actually the short rib tames some of the aromatics on this and brings gives the short rib kind of an extra level of seasoning. I think this Syrah does incredibly well.
Right.
But
like you said, the body, the supple juiciness of the Carmenere just murdered that short rib.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
I mean, Steve, thank you so much. You rock.
Thank you, man.
It was a great pairing. I want to say cheers to you. Cheers, Standard Foods.
Cheers.
Great work you do. Friends, trust the butcher. Cook your meat simply, but drink great wine. Cheers.